good evening, and welcome to this Wednesday, November the 11th edition of the Island Stat Sports Show. I'm your host, Earl Basin, and joining me is Jason Jugden J. Ford. Jay, happy Remembrance Day. As we all know, this is a day that is celebrated for those people who have fought for us to have the opportunity to be in the positions we are in today, for freedom, for liberty, for life, for a lot of things. But today is a day of reflection on what they've done, and hopefully their legacies live on for many, many more years to come. Just a day to honor and celebrate.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Earl. There's one thing, and I hope that we don't lose, is the families, the names, the forefathers that paved the way for us. That we don't forget none of their names, because, like you said, we played a major part, especially the two major wars, the world wars. Us as a small island as we are, we played a major part in it, or a giant part from what I've been able to understand. So, a great grandfather of mine, he fought. So, I'm definitely. I'm definitely proud.
Yeah. Well, let's look back at some of the things that took place today. As we all know, it was the Dudley Eve final that took place at the National Sports Center, with Devonshire Cougars coming from behind to defeat the Dendy Town Hornets 2-1. A lot of things happened in the match. Both teams missing chances. The first goal didn't come until I believe the 73rd minute, or the first goal didn't come until the 80th minute, actually. The 71st minute saw a red card for Azende from the Dendy Town Hornets. Unfortunately, it was his second yellow card. He had been booked early in the match, and in the 71st minute, he made a tackle a bit late and received his second yellow card. So the game kind of sprung into life with so much anticipation that Devonshire Cougars would now run away with the game, having the men extra. But it was actually Dendy Town Hornets who took the lead via the penalty spot in the 81st minute. Angelo Simmons had only come on the field, a few minutes early. He came on the field in the 58th minute and injected some life into the Dendy Town attack. And he was the one who stepped up and took the penalty. And then, believe it or not, the Devonshire Cougars kind of woke up. They managed to get an equalizer in the 85th minute. Lejon Simmons, the ball fell right for him, through a maze of players. It fell right for him. He calmly put the ball away. And then 2 minutes later, the ball was knocked out to the right side. D'Amico Cuddington played a ball that most defenders and even the goalkeeper hate to see come across the goal, because it was just on the edge of the six, or just inside the six. Good pace. Defenders are running at their goal. The goalkeeper all he sees is traffic. Lejon Simmons ended up fumbling the ball against the goalkeeper. The ball was cleared off the line, but it weren't cleared very far. And Elijah Darrell was on hand to just calmly put the ball away. And he had only been on the field for 6 minutes. And, they saw the rest of the match out. And interestingly enough, Devonshire Cougars picked up that was the third Dudley Eve title. And one I think they will remember for a long time, because the match was evenly poised. Both teams have been playing well all season, putting things in place to ensure that they dominate for majority of the time. And obviously it was a seesaw battle. But the result, let me ask you, were you surprised at it?
No. One quick correction, because I believe you even stated on your site, and then you even stated last night at the show, it was their fifth title. I believe it was their fifth title, because Dendy Town was going for their 11th, which they was unable. But in saying that, I was actually probably leaning to extra time, and I'll tell you why. Listening to the program last night, and listen to both coaches. Had injury concerns.
Yes.
Two very important people.
Yes. And you
And
can see it was missing in the game.
so you mentioned it. Just think about the Dandytown player who came on, which is Captain Angelo.
Right.
Just imagine if he would have played the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
And Lee Jean, who's just coming back off of injury, look what they done for Derbyshire Cougars. So
Right.
not knowing who was going to play or who was going to be fit, because listen to Coach Steed, it was going to be a game time decision, obviously, if he was going to make the squad. It was just both teams got some young players, so you don't really know what you're going to get. So I was probably thinking extra time and maybe even penalties.
Right. Right. Well,
And it was heading that way.
yeah, it was. The weather had changed a bit. We were anticipating a big shower that didn't actually
That
come.
never really it sprinkled, but never came.
Yeah, it sprinkled. It got cooler. Obviously, conditions changed. Now guys are struggling with keeping their feet and the like. But overall, I think the fans would have been entertained with the two teams' performances. And in the end, and actually, it was their third title. For Devonshire Cougars, they've lost 5 times in the final.
Okay.
But they won their third one today. The Dandytown Hornets have won the title 7 times, the Dudley Eve, that is, 7 times, but they've lost it 6 times.
Okay.
So, yeah. So both, if you look at it, both teams have set themselves up for a continuation of a run in the season. And hopefully they get those players that are significant to their teams. They are healthy and they can make that run, because it's very entertaining when those teams have the quality staff available for them. And it was a bit unfortunate today with the Devonshire Cougars not being able to have Vance Brown on the bench. He is a bit unwell, but we want to wish him a speedy recovery to ensure that he's back out and helping Mark. And I know those two have a good relationship in keeping that team very much under wraps and ensuring that they're doing the right things from a club standpoint.
I think it's also gratifying. You said that, gratifying for Devonshire Cougars, because in the last couple of years they have taken a step back. There's been quite a bit of transition over at the club, and at the time the club was coming off of a high, as you know. And it almost seems like that Dandytown and them almost switch places a bit, or them Dandytown and Village normally just rotate a bit. So it was definitely gratifying, because we saw the last couple of years of Devonshire Cougars just being a young squad out there. Now, obviously, you got Mark Steed, the president, who's there. I feel is there for vocal. But to see somebody like that still hanging around, and even on the bench today, still, whatever you need from me, coach, even on the president, whatever you need from me, I'm willing to give. And to see likes of Tamiko Coddington coming back, in the squad, tell about some of these youngsters. Sometimes that's what's needed just to get over the hump. Right. But again, I believe if Angelo Simmons would have started and been healthy, we might be talking a different outcome.
Yeah, when you look at how things materialize, once Dandytown took the lead in the match, they started looking to waste time, and as you know, when it's 10 minutes to go, wasting time sometimes backfires on you. So said, so done.
Because you switch off.
Yeah.
You switch off.
And your attention now goes to something different.
And I'm not saying they don't do this, but how many teams really focus on that in training? Yeah. And that is something that you really, really, I know they would have times like, 5 minutes, you keep the ball, whatever the case would be. Last minute, you have at the end of the game, but that is nothing that, like, you still have to be just as intense as you was attacking. Because whoever's losing or whatever, they're trying to get the ball from you, so their intensity level's up. So you have to match it. And a lot of times you see players lackadaisical on the ball because they try to, more shielding or whatever. You try to hold somebody off a bit, but you just being that little lackadaisical. Somebody comes in hungry, picks your pocket, and now you're chasing.
Yeah, definitely. The first match. And I have to say this, that I am so glad that Charles Marshall has been honored by the association and he's around to acknowledge it. The Charles Marshall Under 17 Knockout Cup saw the Warwick Archers Arrows take on PHC. After 18 minutes, PHC was up 4-0. These two teams had played early in the season, and the match finished 1-1. But it looked as if the Archers had a bit of nerves at the beginning, and PHC couldn't miss. They couldn't miss. They hit the ground running, and the unfortunate thing is both goalkeepers were sent off in the match. And even Mr. Marshall, when he was presenting the trophy to Zakiah Lee, the PHC captain, he made mention that he has never seen a game that both goalkeepers were sent off during regulation time. He had never seen a match such as that. And again, I'm just glad that he's been around to actually been acknowledged for what he's done for football, in football, and around football, especially in this country.
Long overdue. And not just giving his time, but also his money.
Yeah,
I remember years ago. I remember he was instrumental with the World Cup run, I believe it was, getting sponsorship and stuff of that age. It's many years ago, but still, like he's never been shy of giving his time and money and whatever it takes for Bermuda football.
Right. He's helped a lot of people in the game, outside the game. He's willing to lend an ear. He's willing to offer advice. And again, like you said, he's even willing to, if he feels that person is genuine and the like, he's even willing to forego funding to assist.
Or even a few years ago, and we get to check out those games every year, the Old Boys games.
Mm-hmm.
And he even refereed the Old Boys game not too long ago.
Yeah.
At the age of
he loves it because those were the guys that were around whilst he was in his refereeing stages.
Yes.
And he remembers them and they remember him. The respect is mutual. So, if Mr. Marshall blows his whistle, okay, which way, Mr. Marshall? Let's go. Okay, cool. No problem. We'll move on,
what, I think you need to bring Mr. Marshall on this show, and because he's probably seen at least 3 to 4 generations.
Maybe, probably 4. Well, I'll reach out to him.
It'd be a good insight of just somebody who's been in the middle, but also who's looked on the outside also.
Yeah.
And what's driven him? And what's driven him? Because we know after a certain period of time, players just, I'm finished, I'm done. And he's always been in arm's length.
Yes, definitely.
Always been in arm's length.
Well, we're going to be joined by David Bascom, the Baltimore Blast head coach, at the bottom of the hour. The Blasts are working on trying to get their season up and running in January. There's been some developments over the last few days that we want to bring him on and discuss. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to get our overseas reports from Anne-Marie Burke and Vernon A. Springer. Then we'll discuss a little bit of what they've got to give us. And then we will get Mr. Bascom on here and drill him. And I'm pretty sure he's watching, so he'll be ready to give us both. He's always got a story for us. So yeah, we'll be back right after these messages from our sponsor.
We've already sung the praises of Welch's famous grape juice, so healthful and refreshing, a truly great family favorite. So with the festive season fast approaching, remember to stock up on Welch's sparkling juice cocktails, flavorful and thirst-quenching, another celebration of the greatness of the grape. The Welch's White, Red, and Rosé are all wonderful on their own, but for a special seasonal treat, try Welch's sparkling juice cocktail in festive punch recipes, garnished with cinnamon sticks or fresh cranberries. All non-alcoholic and also festive. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Good day, Basden. This is Vernon Springer from St. John's Antigua for Fast Sports Media for Island Stats in Bermuda. Sports, wow, what an IPL. An IPL in which we saw a number of West Indians who were involved in the final. The West Indies one-day and T20 captain Kyron Pollard capturing his 15th T20 title, going past his teammate Dwayne Bravo, and in fact being part of history with the Mumbai Indians who have won their 5th IPL. So we say congrats. He was saying that the West Indies breached the bubble. I find that to be very, 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 very sad. And sad to the point, not of the West Indian players, but what I'm saying, if the West Indies senior cricket team is in a bubble and you have authorities who are moving around and see the players talking to their own players inside the gallery, I don't see you going to try to see if you can report that and say that the West Indies team breached the bubble. They haven't left the compound. They're in their own hotel. They're in their own environment. And I just think that this is just a psychological warfare to upset the West Indies team in terms of their preparation going into this New Zealand series. And I really don't like that at all. You know, when I look around in terms of what's happening and what we have to go through as a West Indies cricket board based on our finances and the situations, I just thought that the authorities in New Zealand, that was a little bit hard, you know, and then to put manager Wal Lewis under that sort of pressure to be telling him to go and investigate. The guys of the West Indies team, they're all friends. You tested them and everything is good. They have not left the compound. So what is the big thing? That's just my own view on the whole stuff. In terms of sports, Antigua and Barbuda Cricket Association has been granted permission to have cricket in Antigua and Barbuda. So the association is starting at 10:10 in December from the 4th to the 19th, I think. And then we have cricket taking place in Barbados, cricket in St. Vincent. Trinidad and Tobago has been given the go-ahead for their preparation of their team. So hopefully they might be able to have a competition before December or maybe turning up in January. St. Kitts and Nevis, they are playing cricket. Anguilla, they're active. They're also playing some cricket. St. Martin has quietly started back. So in terms of sports, getting back to its normal self, hey, that has been coming up. But I got some big news for you, which we'll be talking on over the next couple of weeks. The Island Cup, you know, which is the Island Cup, which will be coming to the Caribbean in summer 2021. That's a big football tournament. It's even going to be bigger than the CPL in terms of the cricket. That's something that you got to look out for. So I'll be giving you some more information, sending you some press releases, and having some special interviews set up with you. But In terms of sports, otherwise, I think that's it for me here in Antigua and Barbuda for Island Stats. This is Vernon Springer from Vast Sports Media, signing out from St. John's, Antigua.
Juggler, before we go to Anne Marie, I just want to talk about two other things that Vernon was discussing. One of the ones was the New Zealand issue with the West Indies players. Looking at that whole scenario, obviously they are trying to play that mind game a little bit. You know, as he stated, the West Indies players were together. They were in and around the confines of the hotel, but some reports suggested other things were out and about, but there's no proof of that. And I think that kind of trying to play that mind game has started already for New Zealand.
As you know, it happens with every tour.
Oh yeah.
Every team that goes out, even our team gets. I remember many years ago, same thing. It is, you know, some teams take it as gamesmanship, as they would say. But what happens is that the team is trying to make sure that whatever team's coming in, you want every advantage. And a lot of these teams are so structured and so regimental in timings and what they do. So to get it off of their timing, even to the fact that, okay, we saw it even for cup match, Bearston. What time transportation came, what time the team showed up.
Right.
So they had less time to do this, or, you know, it happens. And with the young squad that the West Indies have, you know, it's going to be interesting how it does affect them.
Right. And the other thing, the Island Cup. It would get you excited, but the way it's being designed, it kind of puts Bermuda in a very difficult position because it's ownership of teams. And Bermuda's so far away, it makes it that much more economical a struggle for Bermuda to enter something like that, because you have to own the team. Obviously, you have to pay for the travel. I honestly can't see teams coming to Bermuda to play. It's just an enormous amount of money.
So in saying that, also, guess what? It breeds opportunity. It breeds opportunity for someone, obviously who's got some pockets, to believe in our product. Because that's it. Whatever way you look at it, Earl, any owner of any of these teams, 99% of the time, is they believe in the product that they're going to put out on television.
Yeah,
that's all we get. You know, for them, that's what it's going to be. You see that in the IPL all the time. You see all the owners. It's all about their product, and they are really happy. We'll talk about the IPL in a minute, but they're really happy when it happens. So, unfortunately, you know, we are a little isolated from the rest of the Caribbean when it comes to that. But you know, there's some folks here that have some deep pockets.
Yeah,
do they believe in our product?
Right.
Because that's what it's going to take. I don't care how good of a football team we are, Earl. As you know, to bring teams here and go back and forth, it's going to take some financial
definitely
welding to make it happen.
Yeah. Well, let's get the update from Anne Marie Burke from Barbados.
Hi, Earl. It's always so good to hear from you. Everybody's good on my end of things. I do hope that it's the same for you over there in Bermuda. You know, we've been having some serious wet and rainy conditions across the region. Barbados has not been spared for sure. We've had some consistent rainy weather, you know, over the past few weeks. But, you know, we are holding on, and sports is still pressing on as well. And speaking of rainy weather, Sol Rally Barbados was completed over the final weekend of October, and with that, it was done in some of the wettest conditions that they've possibly ever had in that particular competition. But when the engines were turned off and the dust, mud, water, and rain has settled off the roads, it was Ken Block out of the USA who emerged as the winner of Sol Rally Barbados 2020. He, along with his co-driver Alice Gesselmino, And I must say something about Ken Brock. This was his first time driving a Rally 2 car, and he came out and he conquered the 18 special stages of Sun Rally Barbados here on the island. And he completed it in a time of 56 minutes, 03.19 seconds. So he really did well in his first outing at Sun Rally Barbados. He was just 10 seconds off the second place British pair of Rob Swan and Darren Garrett, as well as the third place finishers who were Jeffrey Patton and Mike Tanner out of Jamaica. So unfortunately, no local drivers actually taking any of the top three honors. It was all USA, UK, and Jamaica for Star Rally Barbados. So we have some reclaiming to do. And it was a bit more rejoicing for us over here in Barbados when it came to horse racing, because over the weekend, Rico Walcott, one of our major racemen over there, our jockeys over there playing his trade in Canada, captured the Century Mile Jockeys title. And he did so when he claimed 68 wins for that season. He also was the top earner with 229,000 Canadian dollars. And of note is that third place went to Antonio Whitehall, another Barbadian jockey over there at the Century Mile Racetrack in Canada. He was third overall. He had 43 wins for that season, and he was actually second in earnings with 465,100 Canadian dollars. So it was really good showing by our jockeys over there at Century Mile. And I must say too about Antonio Whitehall that he is a contender for the overall jockeys title in Canada so far for the 2020 season across the entire country. He has registered 117 wins. The only thing that sits between him really and taking that top jockeys title across Canada is two jockeys who are still playing their trade at the Woodbine Racetrack. There's no indication that he's actually going to be able to ride before the end of the year, and because the race cards at Woodbine go right down until December the 13th, Justin Stein and Rafael Hernandez are in for a chance of overtaking Whitehall to take the top jockey's title. So we're just praying that he can hold on and win it to add to, what was a wonderful season for him. Coming back on the local scene here, Barbados volleyball is continuing. Of course, not affected much because it's indoors, so the rain really did not affect the volleyball play. And they're actually into the second round of competition in the league competition. So we're having volleyball being played throughout the week, at least 3 nights a week. And on Saturday, the Barbados Cricket Association has their big T20 final. There's the club finals, and it's set for Kensington Oval. Kensington Oval, the mecca of cricket here in Barbados, and some people argue in the Caribbean region as well. And that final is set to get going at about 1 p.m. We're going to have live coverage on radio and television here on the island. So it's going to be a big final. Everybody's been looking out. We've been starved of sports for much of the year because of the lockdowns of COVID-19. But now that it's opened up and everything is relatively back to normal here in Barbados, we're looking forward to this final. So that's it for me from Barbados this time around. We're coming to the end of the year, so things are winding down, so to say, and we're just looking forward to see how the various associations and clubs and get ready for 2021. So I do hope that everything again is great with you guys over there in Bermuda, and I look forward to hearing from you next week.
Coconut oil has been popular here in Bermuda as a skin moisturizer for generations, but is sometimes avoided in cookery because of its unhealthy reputation. We've witnessed a change in attitudes as recent findings indicate that coconut oil is actually heart healthy and can enhance our immune systems, increase metabolism, energy and endurance, and improve digestion. Nutiva coconut oil is a superfood in its own right, and this month we're featuring Nutiva organic shortening made with organic coconut and red palm oils and also hemp seed oil. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
And welcome back from Anne-Marie's report. As she stated, near the end, things are winding down in Barbados. But also things are starting to rev up as well.
Yes.
So, just like in Bermuda, sports is returning somewhat to its normalcy, although we still have restrictions in place on how spectators can view event and how players have to, abide by the new norm. And we know it's going to be around for quite some time, although we heard the reports of a vaccine of some sorts, 90%, but we're still way off, way off from that reality. So, we want to wish everyone well that are taking part in sports, and also the spectators that they can be in an environment that they can enjoy it and be safe as well.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, because I mean, you even look at some of the professional sports, some major influential people are still being affected or still catching the virus. So it's gonna be around. It's gonna be around for at least, I believe, at least another year and a bit, at least.
Yeah.
And it's something that we're just gonna have to get used to.
Yeah, definitely. I know you have an eye out on foreigners. But let's stay on the local front, because some may be confused as foreigners, but are actually local. So we all know.
Yes.
We all know how that goes.
Yeah.
But earlier this week, or actually yesterday, I reported that the Bermuda Boxing Association have been barred from their elections of the ABIA, I believe, due to some infractions, which actually the Bermuda Boxing Association have basically said, they want to contest the ruling, because they have some issues that they've been trying to work out with the organization, and the organization is spread out, that they have some issues with it, and they will be raising their concerns during the Congress, which is the AIBA Congress. It's scheduled for December 12th and 13th. So, when you start hearing things of that nature, that Bermuda is caught up in some things where we look like we're not operating above board, it's a cause of concern. But without a doubt, the president of the Bermuda Boxing Association, Nathan Dill, contacted me. I've seen some documentations in which he has sent off to clear the Bermuda name, and he just needs that audience before the meeting and I'm pretty sure that will be rectified in the coming days, weeks, and just before the meeting. So I'm feeling confident about that.
Yeah, transparency.
Yeah.
And that's, a lot of times, sometimes that just really needs to be, the priority, especially when, we keep saying that. I don't always feel like we're always being the underdogs, but when you're not up in the mix, as you will say, when you don't have a seat at the table,
Mm-hmm.
People always seems that you got to do a little bit more to prove yourself.
Yeah.
Always going to probably go above board to prove yourself. I'm not saying that's happening this time, because, we only know bits and pieces, but transparency is everything. And I feel if we do a transparent situation, then let the truth will come forth, and we'll be all right. I totally believe the talent that we have. I just want my boxers, our local boxers, to not even pay too much attention to this. Let our administrators deal with that. The last couple of years, especially with the events, especially with Vicky fighting at home, we're getting to see a lot of talent. Thanks to the couple of promoters there, especially with Tico, bringing, really showcasing a lot, 10, 11 fights maybe. And, Nikki was supposed to fight just about in March, I think it was.
March. Yep. March.
That was March.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe they pushed it to next year, April. I could be wrong. I believe I know it's next year. But once again, that's
funny. It's funny you say that, because I saw Tico just last week, and he indicated to me that he will have something for me at the end of this month. So I said, you know what? I'll leave him until the end of the month.
The
if he's working on something
promotion, it's gonna be how Tico is. I think, to be honest with you, I think it even had started in Christmas time last year when it started for this one. So in saying that, what they're doing, so I just want all the boxers who, Leo with the gym, and all the guys, all the gyms, keep pressing on, pressing on, pressing on, pressing on. Let the administrators deal with that. Don't get too wrapped up in what's going on here and there, because realistically, we need you to get onto a certain level where then we have a seat at the table. We're going to be, honestly, I hate to say this, Earl, it's very seldom you have a seat at the table when you don't have talent in the pool.
Right. Well, and that's been a problem for years.
You see what I'm
Yeah.
It's very seldom you got a seat at the table when you don't have talent in the pool. When your talent is in the pool, especially if your talent is ruining the pool, you have a little bit, it seems like you have a little bit more say, right?
Sure,
So
without a doubt.
we need to get our game up, our local game up, and get some talent in that pool. They'll be forced to listen to us then.
Right. Well, just yesterday, Leilani Nisbet and her Florida State women's soccer teammates advanced to the semifinals of the ACC Women's Tournament following their 2-0 win over Notre Dame. Although Nisbet only played some 41 minutes, she had one shot. The team really played well. I was able to get a glimpse of quite a bit of it yesterday, and I was really impressed with their performance. They will play the semifinal on Friday against Duke, the number 5 seeds, and Nisbet and her teammates are ranked number 1 for the region. So looking for some positive things on Friday. They play, I believe, the match is at 6:30 Bermuda time, and hopefully they can get advanced to the final, which will take place on Sunday.
Man, that ACC division ain't no joke, girl.
Trust me.
It ain't no joke, girl. It's no joke. And not just the division itself, the schools, the rivalries in the schools. And I'm pretty sure when you talk to the men, it's just the fact that the schools, it doesn't matter what competition it is that rivalry amongst them schools have so much tradition. And to know that she's playing, well, this year, I think she's tied with the most schools for the team early in this season. She's got about four
leading goal scorer, tied leading goal scorer.
Tied leading goal scorer for the season. I only haven't scored one last year, so to know that she's number one improves her game, and obviously they felt more faith in her. I mean, she's had a couple of injuries, as we know. We've been trying to keep her abreast of it, but for the most part, she's making a pro. And what really amazes me, because I said, you know what? Let me see what Florida State, the website is saying about it.
Right.
Let me just see what, and it has our bio in it, and even if our bio, and we remember like quite vividly, she could have went the same way with cricket. Right.
Yeah.
She was just as good.
There was I have to say this because I know he's an avid listener and watcher of this show. There was a running joke with Campbell Simons and myself, and he always teases me about St. George's and so forth. And he said that Leilani was going to be the first female to play cup match, and she'll have to play for St. George's to bail him out.
Well, I'll tell you, they were looking at her playing for St. Davis and Cunningham.
Well, yes.
I would have been last year or this year. They were actually looking, but no, she's that talented. And personally, I thought she probably would have stayed with her. It would have been safer for her interest. But the talent that she has, because when we did see her before she left, I hate this, women amongst girls per se, and obviously to see her stronger now, it's and she's not the tallest.
No,
she's not the tallest. You look at some of those girls on the team like 5'6" and 5'7". But what I did notice with the makeup of her team is they're coming from all around the world.
Yeah.
China, from Sweden and all over. So just think she's gaining all that experience, and with her aspirations of becoming a professional, all this will build well. With David Basketball, obviously with, I believe his niece, cousin.
Yeah, his niece. Yeah, Mia Official.
There you go, playing for the U.S. squad. I mean, for just playing professionally, I mean, it's gonna be something that now she knows she has. If she don't know or not, we could reach out and touch her. You know,
Right.
so just knowing that, and that is something that Earl. I mean, could you have seen this 10 years ago for women's football? For women's football,
If you were to ask someone like Vance Braun, Nikita Robinson,
no, they're too connected. I'm asking you because they had to believe.
Well, but believe it or not, even the late Gregory Grimes, they put a lot of emphasis on women's football to ensure that the women had the same opportunities as the men, getting educated, being able to play in a structured environment, having the opportunity to, if you want to go and if you're good enough, you can get a pro contract. You know, we look over in the UK right now, and we have Aliyah Nerlin playing for Leeds. We have Kiana Dill playing for Norwich. We have Kelshay Birch Waldron playing for the London Lioness, and you know, and of course Kenny Thompson's daughter is over in Spain. You know, so when you look at the opportunities that they're starting out where the guys started out years ago, but the more that we get the females out of here playing, and also not to leave her out, Eva Frazzoni is playing in Sweden. You know, so the opportunities are there, just like the guys. The girls just have to believe in themselves that they have the ability and be willing to make that sacrifice for whatever time it is. Because if you notice, Jay, the Bermuda athletes have a tough decision once they finish school. We know how tough it is because if you look at our counterparts, like America, when they see talent, an abundance of money, whether it be from sponsors, whether it be from the association itself, is thrown at these athletes. We said it last week. Our biggest problem is we want to sponsor the person at the finish line and not at the start line. And it's at the start line where they need the help.
So I think we have to change now. We just need to change our mindset. When you say sponsor, we have to start saying investment.
Well, yes. Yeah.
Because that's now gives you the whole, you know, when you make an investment, it's from the time you put the money into the time it matures, right?
Yeah.
And we need to be able to expand. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like you said, all the past players and administrators who have made the way, even for our young ladies and gentlemen down at the academy down in Florida, IMG, I believe. You know, they're getting that first-hand look. They're getting that look for the top schools. They're getting the opportunity. And once again, that's all we want, the opportunity. A lot of times we was hardly getting the opportunity. We knew he had talent. And I say this because, I mean, I remember when Siobhan Ferber was in college and down at Morris Brown. Can you imagine if she was really scouted?
Right. Yeah.
You know, if she was really scouted, because you remember seeing Siobhan amongst, you know, the women at that time, and it was her and probably Keita, just a few that really stood out realistically. And when I saw him play in Atlanta, it was the same thing. Earl. It really was the same thing. So, but to say now, like I said, these youngsters are getting the opportunity. They're getting, and the good thing is, I think we mentioned it probably a couple of months ago, some of the news that we got here and coming in, especially with the U.S. side, that the U.S. Women's side, national side, are starting to get paid on par.
Yeah, it's the men. That's right. They fought for that. As we know, they fought not only the U.S. soccer organization, but also the president got involved, and he said, and he was against them, but they stuck to the wicket. They've done just about everything that they could possibly do. They've won the World Cup. They defended the World Cup. They're number one in the world. You know, what else? What more do you want to say that they don't deserve?
What else they needed to do? What else do they need to do?
Yeah.
Because the men have never achieved what they have achieved.
Right. And the other thing was that the Women's World Cup had the viewership that showed that the game has grown tremendously. You and yeah, and again, what else, tell them what else they have to do. If somebody could tell them what else they have to do, they'd probably accomplish it tomorrow.
And I tell you, Errol, because if you remember at the Olympics '96, that was in Atlanta.
Yes.
Right? That was one of the major talking points after that Olympics, was soccer be able to push on domestically in the United States. Because yes, they had the whole world watching. And they won. That's where this girl took, the penalty shootout and she took the top off. And remember, so how did that translate to the inner cities? How did that translate in the grassroots? And you could see what it's done since '96. So, like you said, so to see, go back to our Ms. Nisbet, I mean, they could see that, that they go on YouTube and they can see these things. They can, and now with, like I said, David's niece, it's obtainable. Right. And I think sometimes we talk about back in the day, but it's hard to believe in it if you don't know anybody who's ever achieved it.
Right.
But when you know somebody who's achieved it, you won't think, I could do better than Earl Bates. If Earl could do it,
anybody could do it. Well, it was heartbreak for Dale Eve and his Spennymoor Town teammates yesterday as they went down 1-0. A goal in the 88th minute. They were on the road. They were playing a team that's in the, I believe, top half of I think in third place in the standings. They knew it was going to be a tough match, and by all accounts, it was a tough match. I followed a bit on both teams' Twitter, and it was a hard-fought battle. And unfortunately for Dale, he conceded that goal in the 88th minute, and they went down 1-0. Actually snapped a 7-game win streak for Spennymoor and Dale. But now that that's over, now they can actually not have to worry about, because the talk, as long as you're undefeated, everybody's talking about, can you go all season? Can you do this? Can you do that? But once that kind of shackle has been broken, it kind of takes a lot of pressure off of the team itself.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes with a winning streak like that, you would say a 7-game winning streak, they might have been on fire. But in actual fact, could have been a few games where they probably struggled and they just got lucky to get the win. Right. And sometimes players will get complacent thinking, okay, the coaches almost, hate to say this, sometimes coaches probably want them to lose a bit. So they can't grab the attention again. Right. They don't want to, but you know what I'm saying? Sometimes, because sometimes they just think, well, they're just that good and they expect to just show up and win. Right. Sometimes you need that little, okay, now let's reset and go again.
Right. Well, let's take our next commercial break. I am in contact with David. He's actually at training with his son, but we're going to see if we can get him on his phone. But let's take a commercial break, and when we come back, hopefully we'll have an update with David.
Every resident of Bermuda deserves to spend their final days with dignity. They also deserve access to privacy for themselves and their loved ones. Although Agape House has lovingly wrapped its arms around thousands of patients and their families, it can no longer meet the needs of our community. There is an urgent need for a new facility, and we need your help to make that happen. Donate today by going to agiftforagape.com or calling 232-0859. Help give Agape House a new home. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Well, Juggler, we know this coming Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the Port Royal Golf Course, we will see the Bermuda Match Play Amateur Championships taking place. It was just about a week ago that the sidelines were inundated with spectators trying to watch or get a glimpse of these PGA players, as well as, and I have to say this, on the Thursday and the Friday, the local players were followed immensely by a group of people. And my hope is that same enthusiastic performances and the rallying and all that, these people actually show up again to give it to, again, our locals. Because, and I often say this, the biggest problem is that we only come out when somebody else shows up. and then there's a Bermudian offered an opportunity to play alongside of him. All of a sudden, it's come on Bermuda, come on Bermuda. Well, here's an opportunity, the sport that you love, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, for you to root on Bermudians in a tournament.
You're preaching to the choir. You've seen this for a while. No, you're absolutely right, Earl. And sometimes, I always say, well, probably our worst enemy, we should be our 12th man. I mean,
Yeah.
we actually help both the opponent by keeping quiet or not. Or sometimes go into a stadium and there's more, the foreign team have more supporters. Hey, why that happened? But no, I hope they do the same thing, because once again, we know this, and this is something that so many players, professional players around the world, have had a hard time playing without fans, right? Yeah. But if some of our players who are coming from the amateur ranks get into the professional ranks, they're probably not been playing in front of fans, period. So these are the opportunities that they need to start getting used to, because when they do get to a certain level, they're going to have fans, and it's going to be some that's going to be for you, then it's going to be some that's not going to be for you. And you're going to have to deal with it, especially in a game like golf. And I tell you, and Earl, I swear golf is probably 97% mental.
Yes. Because
I don't care how good you hit the ball in the morning, it could change on the tee off.
Right.
And I was wondering how I could fit this in, but good to say, a couple of players that placed last week, second and third and fourth in the PGA, they didn't even make the cut this week.
Houston,
didn't even make the cut. And I mean, I had about 6 players who just didn't even make the cut.
Right.
So, in saying that, you can, one week we talked about it, the player made $750,000, and then we went down to barely getting 29,000. Now the winner they actually didn't play, but man, just think, man. So in saying that, once again, I do hope that, and I don't even leave it up to the organizations. Hey, call your family.
Yeah.
Call your family. Call your school friends. Call your workers. Call your colleagues. Call somebody you ain't heard from a long. Hey, guess where I'm gonna be?
Right.
Hey, come sit out on the 15th hole with me. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. Just because that's what happens. If you look around at professional sport, people have pockets of their own fans.
Yeah.
So Earl Benson might not be good enough to go look at old 23. You might just be good looking at your cousin.
Right. Yeah.
But that's what you need, and I think with especially with solo sports, not team sports, you need to have your own group of
fan base. Fan base.
Saying that, this is how now once you start having a good fan base based on yourself, guess what comes along with that, Earl? Sponsorship. They know that you're a fan base. You got something. So whether you're building it organically by your family, by your work, but then also now moving into the social media world of it, and you got, whatever you put on Twitter or whatever you post, you're getting the thoughts. I mean, I just saw Kevin Hart. I hate to say this here, 100 million.
Yeah.
So, and he took over the movie industry and how to promote movies, because he says, no, if I did it through my Instagram, now you guys to pay me.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying it's going to be like that here for locally, but there's no way you still can think the same thing.
Definitely.
So go ahead into tell me who you think's going to be. Give me top 3 ones to watch out for. How's that? I'm going to say
the thing is, obviously Jared Dillis is the defending champion. He doesn't have to play the qualifying round, which he's opted out of doing so. Damian Paliandi, if he's in the field, he offers a challenge to many. And I'm just quickly looking down. Yes, Damian Paliandi, he's in there. Eric West is also signed up to play. On the ladies' side, that's on the men's side. On the ladies' side, you have the likes of Tracy Burgess, Linda Down, Ann Simons, Katrin Burney, Tracy Nash. And these ladies kind of battle off and on, going back to that men's group. Dr. Vallis, Robert Vallis, he actually, in the qualifier for the PGA event, he was in the mix for a while. So now it's match play, so it's you against someone else, and you can actually eliminate your opponent after 10, 11 holes. So you're probably not playing all 18. Now there will be some games that go over, so but looking at those names, and another dark horse would be Spencer Weidman. I think he's playing really well, and there's always that opportunity for him to get through. So I'm just looking forward to 3 good days of golf. Very entertaining, very challenging at times, but I think if anyone goes to watch it, they'll be very entertained with what the locals will be able to do, and almost reflect on what the professionals were able to do just a week ago.
Yeah, of course, obviously being in great shape. So,
yeah.
You always like that, just to see what you could have done. Now, mine is totally different on the day.
Oh, yes.
But as a competitor, oh man, I shot a 65. Or I shot, that's just how you do. The good thing about golf is, like I said, man, every hole is different, man.
Different,
and when you think you're on top, it can go bad fast.
Yeah, and you know what? And just reflecting, Port Royal on the Thursday was picture perfect. On the Friday, Back 9 became a whole new challenge.
Yeah.
And the same thing on the Saturday. But actually late in the afternoon on Friday, when the weather started to change, the guys that teed off on the back 9 in the morning were straight. The guys that teed off on the front 9 in the afternoon, and they had to come around, and it just became a challenge. And then on the Saturday, they had to abandon play because, guys were playing extra slow because of the conditions, and they had to abandon play, and they had to come back at 7:30, first light, and pick up where they left off.
Earl, that's I'm just how my mind is, just thinking here, right? So us here locally, okay? So just think about it. If we're here locally, that type of weather, you have to practice it.
Yeah.
You have to go practice it. Mm-hmm. But how often do we want to actually go out into that weather? Unless it happens.
You probably have a few individuals that would challenge them.
It happens on the course.
Yeah.
While you're playing.
Right.
You wake up in that morning and say, you know what? Ooh,
I'm not doing that.
But like in competition wise, where you would have to go out and play.
Right.
So that is just something I just think any sports we're doing into the variables. How often do we practice in the bad elements? I remember football many years ago, raining. Well, what's that? That's just
another day.
That's just another day. Puddles, and these fields, there's a lot better drainage now than it was back in the day.
Yeah.
As a goalkeeper, we stood in a pool.
Not a puddle.
We stood in a pool, and I hate that one field. I'm glad that it's not there. Where the North Field is now. Frog Lane was.
Oh boy.
Frog Lane.
That was muddy on a hot day.
That was your right side. Ooh, that was good. Yeah. So, but I'm saying that I'm glad that as professionals, we're always looking to play on the best surface.
Mm-hmm.
That's this and best that. But I think when you do practice on those, because sometimes that might set you apart from half of the field.
Right.
A lot of players might be really good on those, on a good day.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because we're coming up on the start of the Masters, and I'm hearing that it's going to be bad weather, I believe, on Friday in Georgia.
Right, Friday. Yeah.
And that's saying, if that might help out some of the guys who don't hit long.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's going to be interesting. Like I said, how good are the guys to be able to play in these conditions, and we'll see what happens this weekend.
Yeah. Well, we've come to the end. Any parting words?
Yes, Earl. Yes, and you know, obviously we talked about imports and for and sports for a while, but no, Earl, it's always a pleasure to see, and I think one of the greats of our time, and that is in the sport of NASCAR. I know a lot of Bermudians. I'm pretty sure you have a lot of friends that go and follow NASCAR racing.
Mhm.
Not only today's racing, but back in the day, I know guys were coming through Atlanta, going to Daytona, going to
Right.
Homestead. To see the retirement of Jimmy Johnson from NASCAR. And
Right.
yep, number 48 retiring, man, 7 championships, only behind Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt, which was my driver. 83 wins, 19 years, age 45. And you think, man, what else what more can he do? But to see somebody like that, his fan base, Earl, we was talking about fan base. Like you show up at a race, and it was, I would say, after the passing of Dale Earnhardt,
Mm-hmm.
and then his son, when his son stopped, because his son was probably one of the most popular drivers after that for the
After
longest
that,
while
yeah,
until he
yeah.
retired. It would have been Jeff Gordon and Johnson.
Yes.
But for the racing fans, he's not retiring altogether. He's just retiring from NASCAR. He's looking to drive IndyCar. And so,
Okay.
once again, I'm pretty sure he's probably have no problem picking up a sponsor.
Yeah, not at all.
So look out for him at probably Indy 500. If not next year, very soon. So it was a privilege watching him. That was not my driver, but you got to respect him because 7 championships is, and then to see the youngster who won the championship the other, Chase Elliott, which his father won many years ago, which is to see, a father-son. You go back to Richard Petty, you're going back to Dale Earnhardt, to see that father-son win a championship is unbelievable. So a championship it's not just the drivers, the crew. It's so much that goes.
Everything has to work on the day and the time. Yeah.
Everything has to go to. So next year, I'm even more excited because, as we know, Michael Jordan is going to have his team, which Bubba.
Yes.
Bubba made his name through the Black Lives marches or matter situation. So he's going to be sponsored by Michael Jordan next year. Guess what number the car is going to be, Earl?
A 2 and a 3.
2 and a 3. So that's something that if the NASCAR are wrapping up, just keep an eye on it. And I'm pretty sure a lot of race fans. I'm pretty sure we probably have some new race fans from here traveling around to see the Michael Jordan. So I'm pretty sure just on that alone, a black owner in NASCAR, we've come a long way, Earl.
We've come a long way. All right. Well, Jay, we will talk next week, Wednesday, November 18th, right here at 8 p.m. Enjoy your night.
Hey, get some picks this week, okay? Come on. You done terrible last week.
Everybody was terrible.
No,
I'm in second place. I'm in second place, 1 point behind the leader.
You got 2 right last week out of how many games? 8?
I got 3 right.
Out of 10 games?
3 out of 8. 3 out of 8. 3 out of 8.
Just terrible.
I know. Good night.